Welcome to Bash University Live. I was just going to have a sip of coffee, Rich.
You nailed it that time, Pete. You got the cue. It was excellent.
Right on time, as it should be. Welcome to the show, guys. Really cool show today. We're going to be talking with three of the movers and shakers in the kayak bass fishing world that are really with us at Bash University. We're excited to announce we let the cat out of the bag last week, but we are launching today Kayak Bash University, guys. The kayak space is the fastest growing space in the sport of fishing, and kayak bass fishing is just huge and growing every day. And at Bash University, we're working with the best anglers on the planet, teaching about what they're really good at. And we're going to have them all. Our three of the guys that we're working with right now are going to be on the show today. We got Jody Queen, Ryan Lambert, and Drew Gregory, three champions in the kayak world. They're going to be with us today talking about some of the lessons that they've put together for Bash U. And we're going to be talking about what's going on in the world of kayak fishing. So many people love this sport. They love it for a lot of different reasons because, number one, it gives you access to the water in a way that is very, very unique. You can get into the backwaters without having to jump berms like some of our guys tried to do recently. And you can put your baits in places where fish don't normally see baits. And it's really a cool experience. Rich, it's how I started fishing, in these little lakes and ponds around here. I mean, that's how we did it, man.
For sure.
We would wade, get in a canoe, and we would try to get in these out of the way places. And that's kayak fishing.
Yeah, it is. Kayak in the bed of a truck, man. Whether it's a little kayak, canoe, little tiny john boat. I mean, it's how we all got into it, and it's cool to see how things have progressed in this sector of the sport with kayak fishing. I mean, it gives so many people access to fishing and tournament fishing. And now with, the advancements in technology on these kayaks or boats,
amazing.
It truly is incredible. And, one of the things that I took away from, our initial shoots in the kayak world is the whole spectrum of how versatile these guys are. And what I mean when I say that is, we worked with Drew Gregory one day, and then the next day we worked with Jody Queen. And it's safe to say, Pete, that they have completely different styles in fishing, right? Like Drew is very committed to what he does. He likes to get into the backwater. He keeps things really simple. And then the next day working with Jody, I got to see how dialed in the electronics on these kayaks can be. And it really was eye-opening to see how efficiently these guys can cover every section of the water out of a kayak.
It is amazing. And the technology is great. Like it's the strategy, like you said, of Drew getting into the backwaters.
Right.
But the technology's there, forward-facing sonar, torpedo, the motors, allowing them to get into the big water if they want. There's so much that can be done, and you can enjoy this sport any way you want it. And one of the really cool parts about it is its affordability, its accessibility.
Sure.
From high school, college kids to family men, you can get into this and enjoy this awesome sport at a fraction of what it can cost to do it, out of $100,000 bass boat.
Yep.
So
and still win some nice cheese if you're jumping in the tournaments too. I mean, these kayak trails, they're paying out some money, Pete, and it's a lot less of an investment to get into the game when it comes to the kayak fishing world. And you can still win some money doing it. So it's really cool to see that.
Well, we love bass fishing, and it's awesome that they love it too. And guys, it's live right now on the site. Check out these guys, their tutorials available on bashu.tv. Download the app if you haven't done that. We have a free app. You can watch all this stuff, and we have an amazing offer going on right now. You can try it for free for $1. Check it out. And we've got a great, we're still running the red, white, and BU prize pack. By the way, my father came over on Memorial Day wearing the red, white, and BU hat, which
that's right.
Yeah, which was pretty awesome. Do want to take a moment and I want to thank all of our armed forces, all the sacrifice that has been made over the years to protect our freedom. And I want to thank you for all the men and women that have paid that ultimate price. That's what Memorial Day is all about. And I want to thank all the armed forces that are active right now, letting us, live in this country that we love, and man, do stuff like kayak bass fishing. It's pretty awesome. But thank you guys. And to celebrate that, we've got a really cool red, white, and blue bass shoe hat. It's a custom hat. It's for annual subscribers right now. You guys get that hat. Check it out. And
you could possibly win one today with our prize pack.
Oh, we're giving one
Yes.
away?
It's not here yet.
It's not here yet.
It'll be here by today. But we're definitely giving away a BU red, white, and BU hat today.
Okay. Well, let's talk about it. We got a like and share social contest going on as always. And we have a prize pack for that, as well as a trivia prize, which Alan always seems to win every time.
Dan Allen, yes, he does.
Mr. Allen just wins every time. So I challenge you guys to beat him today. Mm-hmm. What are our prizes today, Josh?
Well, for our like and share, we have our awesome sponsor, Waterwood Custom Baits. And for our grand prize, we have a pair of Hobie eyewear, sunglasses, and a red, white, and BU hat.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Sweet prize today.
Yes.
Very, very cool. It's been a busy weekend. I want a big congrats to our own Riz, who won a Derb down on the Chesapeake this weekend with a solid 20-pound bag. Congrats, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was nice to break through on one. Kind of been scratching the surface here for a few weeks, top fives, and finally broke through on one. So it was good to get her done.
That was good to get her done, man. It was tough. We're experiencing tough fishing conditions on our waterway. I know a lot of you guys probably are too. That post-spawn funk, the Chesapeake's kind of challenging. So catching a 20-pound bag, man, that's a job. That's a hard task right now. So well done, Riz.
Yeah, it was a good day. Whether I knew we were going to be close. The second place was 19 something, and then there was an 18, a 17, 16, so on and so forth. And I knew we were going to kind of be right there, and whether or not we won, I was going to be very happy with the finish just because of the way we fished. I got to fish with a buddy of mine that we both got into tournament fishing at the same time in like 2016. And, we had little tin rigs and we were like, we're going to do it. We're going to go all the way, and we realized how quickly, we didn't really know what we were doing, but we learned a lot together over the years, and we don't get to fish derbies as much together anymore. And, so it was cool to grab a win, jumping back in the game for the first time in a couple years. And we really fished a good team tournament, Pete, and what I mean by that is we kind of had, the yin and yang going on with, in the morning when I'm winding the chatterbait, he's dragging the worm. And, when we made some other adjustments, we really fed off of each other really well. And, sometimes in those tournaments, it's like one guy gets the bites going in the morning, and that in this event, that was me. I caught our first four, and then I caught one pitching a worm at some clumps of grass, and he was like, "Man, you're really kicking my butt." And I was like, "Dude, don't worry about it. I know you're gonna get your bites." And he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It worked out good. We caught a 4-pounder right at the end of the day with like 18 minutes to go in the tournament.
Winner.
Exactly. So that, that's like, when that stuff goes on, it's
it's
meant to be.
So. It's a whole strategy. Team tournament fishing is really a different type of strategy.
For sure.
And we've talked about it here on the show. We've had team tournament shows. I want to do another one because it is really, you see certain teams that just excel. They win and win and win because they're, like you said, you have one guy, maybe they can power fish, one guy finesse fishes, one guy does this or that better than the other guy. And the two of them working together is, man, it's a special thing. But congratulations on a great win.
Thank you.
I got out and did a little bit of fishing myself, which was really cool. Catching a little bit of that post-spawn action still. Catching those fry garters, using a lot of soft plastics still on the Delaware River, my home body of water. So it was good to get out and air it out a little bit. And we're all getting ready for the Ike Foundation tournament, guys. if you haven't signed up for that, it's going on right now. Giving a first place is a Bass Cat with a Yamaha, and
Sure.
it's what is that? 30,000?
30,000.
Yeah.
30,000.
It's
And
the
then
only event.
we have some really great prizes for 2nd through 6th. So we added a 6th place
Nice.
because of all the prizes that we had. We were able to move some down.
Mm.
So we're giving away some Pro Guide batteries, power pole, Blade 8s. I could be messing this up.
You
There's
got it.
this light fixture that's like worth $1,000. I know that, but I forget the name of it. There's just a lot. Lowrance units, and there's also Hummingbird. Not Hummingbird.
I would like you to add a prize to wherever I wind up finishing in the tournament.
Okay. Sounds good.
that would
I'll
be
add a
awesome.
Bash U subscription.
That'd be great. I'll add that to my current subscription.
Seriously,
Yes.
if you're in this part of the country, you know, the whole Mid-Atlantic region, this is like, you got to fish this tournament. You know, it's the only one around us where you get to win a boat, you get to win, you know, something that's really, really valuable. And when it comes down to it, all of the proceeds are going towards a cause that we need in fishing. We need to keep getting kids involved in the sport of fishing in order to keep this whole train rolling. So, you know, even if you're not used to fishing on the Chesapeake or whatever, come up, get involved, get your name in the hat. You could win a boat, and you're helping out a really good cause in the process.
And if you're unable to make it, you can still donate to the specific cause at the ikefoundation.org.
And you can sign up there too. So
Yes.
go to ikefoundation.org, get signed up, make a donation. I don't care if you live in California. Come on out, hang out with us, have fun, fish the tournament. Chesapeake's a blast, and the fishing is always good. When that 2 weeks from now, it'll be way better than it is even right now. So look forward to that. That's coming up. And what else? Do we have any other announcements?
We're coming to you live from Tackle Direct Studios.
Yep.
Yes.
We also got a big shipment.
Yes, that's what I want. We got a big shipment in, and I want to share this with you guys. I've introduced a lot of you guys to Cortland braid we have through through our social and here on the show. But I'm unboxing. We just got our shipment of line in, and I'm super excited about it. There's a couple choices of line that I want to share with you guys that I use, and it's very important to me that I get to go through the box first before Rich and the rest of the guys get to it. But this is Master Braid. This is 8-pound high vis. Now, I typically throw 10-pound high vis. Why do I have this 8-pound high vis line in my order? And I'll tell you why. Fred Rumbanis, Boom, good friend of the show, longtime Bass University instructor, is a huge proponent of the 8-pound test category of this line when he's using it as main line for spinning. He said, Pete, you got to try it. You're going to be amazed at its strength. And of course, its castability because it's such a small diameter. This is the line that he uses a ton of. So I'm gonna scale down and get into the 8-pound test category. Sorry, we're getting a little bit of visual difficulties here that we're straightening out. There it is, right there. Some of the other Master Braid is just the great. It's the flagship of the braided line from Cortland. A lot of you guys know Cortland from Fly Lines. They make just the most amazing braided line. They assemble it right there at their factory in the Finger Lakes region in New York. I saw it. It's really an amazing facility, and their quality control is top notch, which makes for a dependable line, consistent line that's going to deliver for you. But this is a 65-pound braid. This is something that I'm going to be using for flipping and for frogging. This is one of the other lines that I really love, and I ordered this in a couple different pound tests. This is 65, but this is Silent Flip, and Silent Flip is a 12-strand braid, and it's done. I think I got that right. Is it 12 or 16? I can't remember. But it's multi-strand. And what does that do? It lays flat and it's silent when it's pressed against the vegetation or the habitat. It delivers less noise, so it doesn't broadcast the strike. And a really, really unique braid that you want to definitely check out. If you're flipping around grass, if you're flipping around wood, that's going to be a line that you're really going to like. So we've got a variety of pound tests. I'm going to be running 8 and 10 and 15 on my spinning rods as my main line. I love that high vis yellow. Riz likes the white from a visibility perspective. And then there's moss green. There's a variety of camo colors that you can use in your lines. And I'm going to be fishing 40, 65, variety of lines in my frogging and flipping. So really excited. Check it out, guys. Go over to bashu.tv and check out your member benefits, because we hook you up with a great opportunity to get yourself into some Cortland line. And you can also get it at Tackle Direct. So
yeah, it's 25% off Cortland line,
What?
Master Braid, and Silent Flip. So go head over and get 25% off.
Now's your chance, guys.
Yeah.
Now's your chance. Jocelyn, make sure to block Rich and Justin before.
I already heard you guys while I was in my office going through like, oh, this one's mine. Wait, maybe it's not mine. This one's mine. This one's mine.
Well, we're excited to be working with them, guys. Go
Yes.
check it out. We're going to take a quick break. We're coming back. Today's show is all about kayak bass fishing. You know, if you want to get into this sport, you want to get into the backwaters, you want to experience this sport in a very, very unique and exciting way, this is it. We've got 3 of the best kayak pro anglers on the planet. They're going to be here talking with us all about it right after these messages at Bass University Live.
What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bass University, and I am excited to welcome in Waterwood Custom Baits to the Bashu family. These are custom handmade baits in the South Rainforest of Brazil. They're made of Marupa pedra wood. It's extremely dense, it's resistant, but it's also really buoyant. They're made of quality components with a 100% guarantee. They're made for tournament anglers to get it done when the money is on the line. Guys, that was like my second cast with this bait. That's a Waterwood custom bait. These things are handmade in the rainforest south of Brazil. And I mean, as you can see right here, it's a fish catching bait. It's got the front hook. That means they wanted it. This bait's, it's running really true. It throws really well. Guys, check them out at waterwoodcustombaits.com.
The leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing, is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Welcome back to Bass University Live, Kayak Edition. Glad to have you guys with us today. Looking forward to talking with these guys. They have all different styles and unique strategies, and we're going to be diving into it with them. But I do want to correct myself. It's a 16 strand braid from Cortland that is the silent flip, which allows it to be so quiet when you're coming in and out of the heavy cover. So go check that out, guys. Man, we have a trio. These are, we looked into this thoroughly working in the kayak world. We wanted to, when we wanted to dive into the world of kayak bass fishing, we wanted to make sure we did it in Bass University style, meaning picking the top anglers, teaching what they're really, really good at. And we wanted to do that here in the kayak world. And we've got a trio of the best. And that's what's launched. That's what's available right now on BashU.tv, and much, much more to come. But the three are here with us today, and we're really, really psyched to have them. We've got Ryan Lambert, Jody Queen, and Drew Gregory. Three champs. Thanks for being with us today, guys.
Nice to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
It's awesome. There's a lot of credentials here. So I'm gonna read some of the hot ones, and you guys can add to it. But Ryan is the 2021 Hobie Bass Champ. Jody is the Hobie BOS Grand Champ, and Drew is the 2022 BASS AOY. So that's just the tip of the iceberg of some of the credentials. You guys have really been setting yourselves apart. And we're thrilled to have you guys representing Bass U.
Thanks for having us, man. I think all three of us have been at this for a while and worked really hard to try to, make a name for ourselves and continue to grow this thing. I think this is a huge opportunity for all of us.
Well, I think it's great to have you. By the way, you have the best studio, Ryan.
Well, I've got to make up for the fishing skills somewhere, so I made a good studio.
Hey, I'm traveling, so I'm in Middle Missouri. I'm headed to Bassmaster Kayak Series in Possum Kingdom Lake, so give me a little break here. I'm on the road. This is the best I could do.
It's awesome. We're glad to have you. I'm just impressed with Ryan's studio, man. That's awesome.
He's a pro, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So you are on the road. Where are you right now?
I'm in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I had a meeting here this morning, and I'm on my way to Possum Kingdom Lake, just west of Fort Worth there, and Bassmaster Kayak Series event number 3. So trying to defend that AOI, you know what I mean? I got to do my best. I got GDP pushing in hard. I got these other top anglers, fishing that series now. Steve Owens is taking it over, so it's not going to be easy, but I will give it my best.
Man, that's awesome. That's a long trip. Well, I guess where is your home base?
Northeast Ohio these days. I grew up in the Southeast in Atlanta and lived in the Carolinas for 15 years, but 19 hours from me, man. So this was kind of a middle spot where I stopped last night and had a meeting anyway with some sponsors. So that's why I'm here. But yeah, hey, to back up real quick on your Cortland line, because we're here to educate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know this, Pete, but I was with Cortland Line for about 5 years. Love those guys. Ryan at Cortland, love Rumbanis, the whole crew. Like, I love Cortland Line. And I didn't switch because anything to do with the line. The line's still great, that master braid, and people know, and maybe you guys out there, if you watch the seminar that I do with Bass U, I'm a big fan of just straight braided line as much as I can, right? Especially the places I fish, it just tends to work with my baits that I throw in my style. But Pete, here's a little trivia for everybody. Jody, Ryan, you guys can get in on this. Everybody listen, watching live here. Which braided line color shows up the least in clear water? Like, what color? Because Cortland, the cool thing about Cortland, what I did like about Cortland, I loved everything about them. Like I said, I switched for a different reason, but they have multiple colors of braided line. They have so many different colors. Now, there's one color that I think they're still making. Hopefully they are. Otherwise, I'm promoting something that isn't there. But which color shows up the least in clear water?
I have a guess.
Go ahead.
Is it copper?
No.
Probably yellow or some kind of bright color.
Jody's
always
kind of
green.
You're getting close, Jody. You're close. It's not what you would think.
Mm-hmm. Red,
blue.
You want me to tell? Should I tell it? I mean,
let's hear it.
Please. The suspense is killing me.
The suspense, yeah. It's white. White is the best for clear water. So you get your 8-pound white. Instead, if you still want to throw braid, you throw 8-pound white. And you can go on YouTube, because I did this, and watch. There's a guy who's done line tests, and he's got like a little mechanism he built, this square. It might have been the Bass Fishing HQ guy. I'm not sure. Is that Tyler? Maybe. I don't know. One of these guys is pretty good, and he's done like a test, and he dips it in there with every color braided line, every single one of them, and then he films it underwater where you can see underwater, and that's the best one for clear water is white. It shows up the least, whereas your moss green and stuff like that are going to show up even more. But then he does it with I think monofilament and fluoro as well, so you can kind of see which one of those. I don't remember the answer, but already starting off with some good info here.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I know the copper color is something that's really popular in a lot of the Midwestern northern sections. When I was at the factory, they were talking about it, and I thought that was the sneaky answer. I thought I was going to get that W on that,
right.
But no, interesting, and it's so important to you. To dive in a little bit, Drew, because you tie direct braid almost exclusively, and we learned this at your Bass University seminar, which is live right now on bassu.tv, where you talk about your jig fishing strategies, and you just, man, I want to tie direct. I want to eliminate any possible failures and maximize my opportunities. That's just the way you go.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's all about the places I fish and where I go and the baits I throw. You can get away with it. I'm not saying I tie direct and like I go drop shot in 20 foot on Lake Hartwell or Lake Lanier or some clear water fishery, and do that. I don't fish that way. I don't fish those baits. So that's why I never have to ever deviate from my strategy. I just choose and find the water that works best for your buzz baits, chatter baits, spinner baits, swim baits, just things like that you can tie direct. Get a reaction bite off of a visual target. I'm just an old school fisherman, shallow water, dirt dauber, and you can get away with tying straight braid. You can throw top waters with straight braid. They don't see your line on top water. So, yeah, man, single hook baits, straight braid. I just like to get them on the boat, and let's get them on the board, get them on that catch board, get them back in the water, and, see what happens at the end of the day. Hopefully you got a, good 5.
Well, I love the strategy is one that's extremely successful for you, and congratulations on that. And guys, I want to invite you guys to go check that out. You won't be disappointed in what you learn there from Drew. And I complimented Ryan on his amazing studio lighting, but I think Jody wins with the most interesting the background there in your studio, Jody.
Oh yeah,
that's Basquatch.
Basquatch.
Yeah, that's the one that always gets away, takes all your $25 plugs, and he's got a squirrel on his shoulder too, by the way. So yeah,
it's a little devil squirrel.
He lived under an old cypress root most of his life, and then he just became a part of the tree, man. And so he's up walking around looking for those anglers, man, that keep trying to catch him.
I like it. It's a great business. Right, you could put Basquatch out there and collect all the crankbaits you want.
That's right. He gets them too.
I bet. Is he just for the studio, or does he actually travel around?
No, we just actually got him finished up last week, and I've already done a video of him called Wild Thing, and yeah, he's going to be in a few reels coming up. I'll use him for some promotional stuff, but. Once we make something here in a couple of days, we just move on to something else. Like, this is actually going to be this is called White Lightning. That's going to be a big chatterbait. Can you see the hook?
Oh, yeah.
That's a mega chatterbait.
Yeah. So it's going to be White Lightning. It's going to be like a moonshine steel, and it's going to have a worm coming out of it. And it's going to be unveiled at ICAST this year for the Z-Man at the Z-Man booth. So just having fun, man. That's the other part of my life besides fishing. I'm an artist, and I'm always doing something. We're renovating a huge building here, and it's Gary Bowling's House of Art. If you guys want to get out there and check it out, but it's a fun life. You never work a day in your life, right?
Yes. Well, I want to dive into there a little bit more, but I also want to advise you to like get together. Z-Man should get together with, I think it's the Big Bite Bait Company. They have like a 6-foot Senko that they have on display. I think that'd be the perfect trailer for that chatterbait.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. Well,
it only weigh about 200 pounds probably.
You are seeing more collaborations these days within bait companies, so you never know. Make a big one of those out of a Lastec or something.
Well, Z-Man is, they make the jackhammer, which everybody in the world is throwing one by now, but they're just, if you look at their logo, it's the science and art of fishing. That's one reason why I like it, because they're into that. The other side of fishing that Z-Man is exploring is the anglers, what they do in the other part of their life, and they make awesome baits. I mean, I'm almost exclusively using their baits right now. I mean, the sling blades, and Drew, I know you throw the sling blade a lot, and Drew and I throw a lot of the same baits. We just use them differently sometimes, But we're both river rats. We grew up on the rivers, and I just recently started getting into the lake scene and the electronics. You was talking about forward-facing sonar. It's how much it's changed the industry, but I'm just starting to get into all that, and I'm actually thinking about doing a year where I'm just doing nothing but the rivers again, and I miss it. I miss getting in those rivers and those tight spots. But if you're going to compete in this world now, kayak fishing has come so far. You're going to have the electronics. You're going to have the torpedo motors. You're going to, it's just it's growing just like the bass world's growing. The big boat world is growing.
I think we've definitely seen a big shift on that technology side. If you look back 3 or 4 years ago, most everybody tournaments were being won, still shallow traditional fishing. And the past 3 years, you've seen that forward facing sonar really kind of take over the kayak fishing world. I mean, Rolando and Ewing Minor, the stuff that they do with those forward facing sonar units, it's hard to beat. I mean, when they're targeting fish that aren't getting pressured by the other 200 anglers in the field, it really makes the difference on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and I think it's something kind of new too, and there's a lot of people getting into it. I think that what I'm finding now is I'm finding that balance, when to use it, when not to use it. It's hurt me at times where I get caught up just watching TV basically on my screen. So you got to find that balance. Geographically, the type of lakes you're fishing, if you're in these highland reservoirs, you got a lot of nice, good rivers that, that hold smallmouth and largemouth, and you just got to figure out when to use it. Those places are still producing fish. It's just a lot of people are switching to because of the novelty of it. A lot of people are using the forward-facing sonar. I mean, you can ask Drew; he does well in the creek still, and it's something away from. Yeah.
But what's crazy about forward-facing guys is think about this, like. Remember Tyler Rivette on Okeechobee winning in that canal? No one had ever thought about going in there and using the forward-facing how he did, okay? Now we're coming up on the Sabine, and when we were at the Sabine last, a couple years ago when the elites were there, forward-facing was never used like how Rivette just used it. People weren't using the perspective mode. People weren't really understanding it fully outside of it being a really good like a wintertime sort of technology. So I preface and say all that to say this. Watch the Sabine River Elite Series now in June, when you would think on a river system, shallow water, just a lot of backwaters, you would think, and that's what the majority of guys are going to do. That's what Christie did when he won. He was up a river, a creek. Somebody, I don't know if it's one of the Japanese guys like Fujita or someone who's got like 5 of these screens on their front deck or 5 sonars going. Somebody will find a new way to find fish with that tool in June, post spawn now in June in the summer, and be in that top 10. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's cool to see it just be used in so many different ways. It's crazy.
Yeah, so Ryan, shallow water is not. I mean, it's not a killer for that unit. I mean, the way I use mine, and I've started doing this a lot, is I use my scout mode, and I've got an active target. I'm fishing in 3 feet of water using it, and all I do is I'll make it spin freely on my. So that I can adjust it back and forth, and you can hone in on those shallow fish. I mean, because being able to adjust with the incline of a flat, I mean, it just brings everything into focus, and you can just move it back and forth. So there's a lot of different ways, and the more it gets used, the more ways that we're going to find to use it, you know.
Yeah.
I agree. And by the way, Jody's seminar tutorial about how he exactly rigs that on his kayak is available right now at our launch here on Bash University. And now, Drew, are you using it in the shallow backwaters? Have you adapted it for your style?
Not yet, man. but I mean, I'm not even, forget that question, Pete. I'm still not even just a fish finder in general. I used to use them and have them, but I just enjoy rivers and creeks. And hey, that's why I got into kayak fishing. I've always kind of stayed true to who I am. I love the rivers, creeks, backwaters, little sneak holes. I love that stuff. And you don't really need it there. You can still, win and be successful doing it. It's just tougher now. You know what I mean? Much tougher. So, and the years I've done well in the last few years, I've never even had a motor. I mean, I got a Torpedo now, and I love that thing because it is awesome for the rivers and creeks. But I just was still using a paddle and just a little kayak, and just doing more like a Rick Clunn. And sort of, I just have done this so long, rivers and creeks. I just kind of know what I know, and I'm getting to the point where I'm old enough where they probably, I know an old dog can learn new tricks, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of like what I'm doing, and it's successful. So why am I going to try and change until it starts failing? I was 15th out of 250 at the first Bassmaster event on Gunnersville. So, I wasn't close to what GDP put up, but it wasn't a bad finish, so I'm still competitive with what I'm doing. So I'm going to stick with it.
Well, it's like our own Riz. He refuses to put down his chatterbait.
Yeah, hand up.
I mean, but if you look at tournament finishes, I'll always talk myself out of it. Like, this one, they're not eating the chatterbait on this one. And you look in the top 5, and somebody's like, "Oh, I was slow rolling a chatterbait on a 30-foot drop," or something crazy, but it still catches fish. I don't know how or why, but it does.
Yeah, one thing I figured out about the chatterbait is, on any given lake, somewhere on that lake, there's a chatterbait bite. And you just got to find it.
There's a fish waiting on that unnamed bladed jig to come through there.
That's my theory. Riz, you got 2 Z's in your name, bro. Like, you were made for Z-Man and chatterbait, dude. They need to name one after you and call it the Riz, and just make that.
Come on, man. Let's go. Hook it up.
Get yourself a little royalty. Yeah. Because you're committed to it.
There's all kind of Riz imposterment going on lately in the social media world.
Yeah, the kids are all about the Riz nowadays.
Yeah, whatever it means. You know what I mean? Pete, you invented that nickname in 2018.
That's right. I'll
Over a tongue twister. Ike lost his mind, and the rest is history.
That's the new name. Well, you got 2 Z's. You need to have it should have 2 blades.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That'd be revolutionary. But
an under chatter.
I want to know something about the kayak world, and Ryan, you touched upon how in the last 3 years the forward-facing sonar has really been a push. Like, what has been, and it may be forward-facing sonar, but like in the last handful of years, like what has been the biggest development or the biggest breakthrough in kayak fishing that's really taken things to the next level for you guys?
I would say forward-facing sonar or motors. Those two, you can pick which one you like better, but being able to cover, 16 to 20 miles in a day versus 5 or 6 has been a big game changer too.
And you mean right?
I would actually give up my forward-facing sonar if I had to give up my motor. I would keep the motor over my forward-facing sonar any day.
That's a bold statement. 16 to 20 miles. That doesn't seem feasible, but you can cover that kind of water now.
I mean, you can do it pedaling. You're just gonna hate yourself at the end of the day. I've done it numerous times, and it sucks. But when you do it with a motor, you actually get to fish some of that time too, instead of just covering 16 to 20 miles.
So with the advent of the motor, I mean, you have hands-free fishing. Hands-free. You're not paddling. You're casting. So you're the amount of casts that you make during a tournament are going to go up because you're not pulling with the paddle and stuff, unless you're Drew Gregory, of course, who is like a buzzsaw on the water. But yeah, it just frees your hands up to do other things. You're not, boat control is so much easier with it. Forward and reverse on the motors. You can go in, you can work docks so much faster if you're a dock fisherman. I can, with the, coupled with the 360 on the Hobie, I mean, you can eat a dock. If you're a dock fisherman, the 360 with a motor is amazing.
Or even bow mounted motors. I know, Drew, you had a lot of experience with the Motor Guide. Yeah.
Motor Guide. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. For me, rivers and creeks, it just worked a little better with the Torpedo. And I kind of had to make a switch too, because now we have in kayak fishing, we have designated launches, in these tournament trails. So I can't put in any public access point, which used to be the rules, which is where the paddle kayak came in really handy, because I could just put in anywhere I could put in on any given Saturday or Sunday, just fun fishing. We could put in for these tournaments as long as it was public, right? But now we don't have that. We have designated launches. So therefore, I might be miles away from where I used to just be able to put in and use a paddle kayak. So now the motor is, like Jody said earlier, you basically kind of have to have it these days. I mean, you have to. Like at Possum Kingdom, we got about 5 or 6 places to launch at this tournament. I'm about to go fish. That's it.
Now? Is the Torpedo legal and everything? Because I knew for some time it was like,
well, not in Hobies, but not in Hobie. It's not, but you can use it pre-fishing at Hobie tournaments.
Yeah. Okay.
But Bassmaster and the KBF side, you can use them.
So so one thing I'd love to know from all three of you guys, and we can kind of round table it, is like the strategy. And this is like what intrigues me so much about kayak fishing, because you guys have to take different approaches to the tournament side of things. And you have to be like extremely efficient with, like, if you say, I'm going to fish this section of the lake today, you have to almost make that section of the lake work for that practice day. Cause you can't run to the other end of the lake. Like there's differences. Right. So like, how do you guys go about that? Like your tournament approach from practice through practice into game day and making it happen. Start with you, Ryan.
All right. I have a different approach than I know Drew's a little more run and gun. I look for an area that has enough fish for at least one day. So I don't want to move. I don't want to load up. So I try to find, I'll hit 5 or 6 areas in practice, and I try to find one that I think if I slow down, and I'm a finesse fisherman, I like fishing slow. So if I can sit and grind out 5 good bites in a day, I want to be able to stay in that one area and just steadily cull up throughout the day. I don't like wasting time, moving around. Sometimes if I do think that I'm going to need 2 spots in a day, I'll set like a hard time limit. Like, okay, I'm fishing here till 10, whatever I have at 10, I'm loading up. I've got 45 minutes to get to the other spot and then, fish the second half of the day. But I try to, keep it at 2 ramps is about my maximum.
Drew, what's your approach?
Well, I mean, it's all different now. I mean, like I said, the rules just changed. This is the first year we've had designated launches and rules where you can't get out. KBF changed the rules back, but Hobie and Bassmaster, you always have had to stay in your kayak. So right now, you're not allowed to get out of your kayak. So unlike a bass boat tournament, if Poche gets in somewhere with his boat, he can get out and pull his boat out. You know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to get out of your bass boat, but not to get in somewhere. We can't get out, period, whatsoever, to get our kayak, into another area. So,
what happens if you fall in the water?
Well,
then hope your GoPro's running.
You get wet.
If you fall, you can get out to eat, use a bathroom, do whatever else you want. You just can't get out to make your boat,
to access the backwater.
Correct. You can't cross an obstacle.
So it's just really tricky now. Like, it's totally different. I used to move like at La Crosse or Dardanelle. I've moved as many as 5 or 6 times in a day. I just cranked up the Tacoma outboard, loaded the kayak back up, and drove to the next spot. But now I can't really do that anymore. Like for example, the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship, Russ won that, and I was fishing, sharing an area with him, and lost a couple big ones at the very end of the day that probably would have put me right there with him. But I didn't get 5. I only had 4, and I knew a spot I could have pulled out and drove right to and put in like a little bridge where, kayakers put in all the time, and just put in right there and caught fish right there. But now I can't do that. So I couldn't get there through a shallow mud flat in the lake. It was so shallow I couldn't get there even though it was running water, it was all connected. I couldn't get to that bridge. So it totally changes your strategy. You have to now, like Ryan said, it's going to be more of I'm more agreeing with him, probably doing what he does now. Like basically it's like you have one other ramp in the back of your mind that you're going to pick your A spot, and then you have a B and C plan as well. But you want like this, primary area that you want to target, but with a torpedo, knowing I can zip 6.2 miles an hour. So I can still kill, it might kill half an hour or even 45 minutes. But if I know I've got another area with good fish, then I'm going to zip over there and run to that spot. Just kind of work everything off of my primary area with the torpedo as my new outboard, right? Instead of the Tacoma. Worst case, you want to have a backup spot where you load your kayak back up and you relaunch. But the problem with that now, with the new rules, is if there's only 5, 6, 10, whatever, 20 launches, and you got 200 and something folks in a tournament, and they're all fishing in general within 3-4 miles of the ramp, I don't feel like moving to another ramp in the middle of the day when I know 20 people just launched at that ramp, and they're already milking everything that is good in a 2, 3, 4 mile radius from that ramp. It's like, I really do not want to have to be in that situation to move and do that. So I want to use that torpedo just to find good spots off my primary area, the spoke and hub sort of thing. If you want to use a Pangrac example, a Panger example, there, spoke hub theory.
Did they change the rule on that because of the state police reporting the Tacoma outboard, screaming down the highway, throwing rooster tails? Because when I crank up my outboard, Pete, it's wide open, and I don't know if you want to go wide open in a Tacoma down the highway. That might not turn out good.
I've got a couple speeding tickets during fishing tournaments with that same methodology.
I believe.
Like, how do you drive when the timer's going on in your head? Like, you're going
real fast,
right?
Well, even now, being able to move ramps, I'm sure, and people still move ramps today, and I'm sure, just like general driving. I mean, I guess if you don't get caught, I don't know if that's a tournament rule or not, man. Is that a tournament rule? If you're
I haven't seen it yet. I've still got the ticket from Marshall County, Kentucky, sitting over there on the desk.
If they change that rule, it's going to be
Where'd you get caught? Like, were you doing 100? What were you doing?
Like 72 and a 35.
That'll do it.
That's going through a no-wake zone. You're going
got
through
me
the
on that
no-wake
one.
zone.
Yeah.
What happened?
Seminar.
They come up to the window, and you're just like, dude, just write me the ticket as fast as you can.
Well, me and this guy, we were fishing a school on Kentucky Lake, and we had a certain allotted amount of time. It was in one of the Hobie tournaments to get back to weigh in. And I knew that I would have to, move pretty good to get there. So he passes me, as I'm pulled over. And I was actually in the top 10 in check range. And he's laughing and texts me on his way. I was 3 minutes late on that one. Thanks to the good officer for doing his job, though, keeping the streets safe out there.
Man,
wasn't Gerald Swindle the one who got disqualified? Wasn't it G-Man who went a little too fast, blew by somebody in a no-wake zone?
Yeah, he sure did.
That was Hal. I thought that was Randy Hal. But anyway,
if that rule, if there's a rule, Ryan, we'll have to name it after you. If it's
it'll be there. Don't worry. It'll be after this episode makes its rounds by this afternoon. There will be a rule in place. So
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I think that's a $250 ticket minimum.
Yeah, right. It's not cheap.
Hopefully not. Hopefully he'll go easy on you. So I want to understand this. So the rules are now you pick a launch ramp, and that's your launch ramp for the day?
No, the tournament. So if there's 60 public access points on a lake, whatever tournament organization it is will pick, say, 15 or 20 out of those. Okay. And those are legal launches. And the idea behind that was to kind of take some of the question out of what was legal and what wasn't, because there was a lot of kind of arbitrary. It was this public access or was it not? And we don't have like marshals or anything that are with you. A lot of kayak fishing is still on the honor system. There's not a lot of times where you'll encounter 5 or 10 people on the water in a day. So I think the idea behind that was just to take out some of the guesswork, and at least everybody's launching together on the lake. Where they go from there is up to the rule standard there.
We hope they are, at least. We still don't have any.
Hopefully,
no one's checking.
Hopefully, again, there's no oversight on any of that.
Don't really even know actually right now, but it's like you said, Ryan. It's an honor system like golf, But a lot of times in golf, you do have to call things on yourself, but at least you got your competitors over there that could see you as well. So, but we don't even have that, not even in the bass boat world, you know, other than the elites and my left, you got marshals. But once you get to the lower AAAs and stuff, some of those levels, obviously you got co-anglers, but you know, there's times where I think Ike's even talked about, I've heard him say, like, they didn't even, you know, he didn't have a marshal and they didn't check his footage or his camera or something. At every level, there's a way to cheat in these tournaments. So certainly honor.
For sure.
Honor sits
And
on
Jody,
stick.
we didn't hear your strategy. What's your strategy?
That was on purpose. I was trying to get, you know, I was trying not to give you guys my strategy. I mean,
I want this part. I want this part. This is what I came for.
It's fairly simple. You know, you just, I think one of the things that I do before every tournament is I use Google Earth. You know, I'll pull up and I'll try to find the geographical features that might hold fish, and I try to get those, you know, areas and as many of those types of fish holding areas in one area that I know that I can cover. Like I like to find an area that's got a decent sized cut in it with a creek running in. I'll find secondary points, brush piles, whatever I can find in a compact area. And even if that area doesn't work out for me, I can eliminate it quickly and I can move on to another area. Also, what it does is if I find fish on brush piles in that area, then I can try to recreate that other places. If I find them off of points, then I can recreate that somewhere else on the lake, channel swings and stuff like that. But it's mostly just eliminating water. I mean, if you can get out and find a spot that you think in your mind that should hold fish and you can go eliminate it, then once that's off your plate, then you can move to another ramp and go somewhere else. But, you know, there's a lot of variables that go into it. I mean, it could be time of year. I want to be on flats during the spring. You know, I want to be bumping chatterbaits and spinner baits off of logs on flats. I want to, you know, as the summer wears on, I'm going to move a little bit deeper. But I'm a big fan of shallow water, too. And you will be surprised, I've caught so many big bass in shallow water and the water's pushing 90 degrees. You wouldn't think that those bass would be in there. But what they do is they just find those safe places, you know, under a big log and tuck back under a bank, and you really have to tighten up your game up when it gets like that. But it's just going out and eliminating that water. And pretty much the best way that I found to do it is just get out there and hit it. You know, find you a spot on Google Earth and say, okay, I'm going to get this area now, and you go and you eliminate it. The importance of eliminating water is one of the most important things that we do. And kayak fishing, I mean, the boat fishermen do it also, but kayaks, it's a little bit different because we can't just pull up and go to that next creek arm, you know,
right.
So we try to find those areas that we know that we can cover in a few hours. Like Ryan said, he likes to give himself a set time. I pretty much do the same thing. If I don't have nothing in, you know, if you get in an area, if you don't have nothing in a couple, 3 hours, you pretty much have eliminated that water and you need to move on, you know. And that's not saying that fish can't move in there after you leave there, but those are chances that you have to take. And you just, you know, if you waste too much time in one area, it can hurt you in the long run. So get out there and just eliminate that water.
I think pre-fishing,
you know, it's a lot like we do in the grass fishing race. Like we like Schmidt talks about finding a home, you know, finding an area that he can just live all day. And we all want that in our fishing, but man, you have
100%.
to have that
100%
in the kayak world. Let me ask you this. Do you we have famously the brothers that work together and share money and revenue, the Johnson brothers. A lot of groups, like there's a couple, they room together, they share intel. Do you guys have that? Do you guys work with anybody or purposefully stay by yourself?
No, I mean, personally, I can say that I don't have any group of people that we share money with at all, because the information pretty much flows free. You know, that's one thing about the kayak world. I mean, we're not real secretive. Some of us are, but I pretty much share. You know, if it's allowed, I'll share baits on the water with another kayaker. And I'm going to do that until it hurts me. And you know, so far it's been pretty good.
Wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. Are we all, as fishermen, we are responsible for lying to each other and misleading each other? That's an important component of the sport.
Yeah. Well, here's
that's why I tricked you guys. White shows up the worst. That's why I tricked you guys earlier.
There's plenty of that goes on too, Pete.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I mean, if I'm in a tournament and I'm on day 2 and I've been catching fish and I'm out there watching somebody struggle and they still got to catch the fish. Even if you hand them a bait or tell them what you're using or you're doing something that's catching the fish that a lot of people aren't doing. So, I mean, there's a lot of variables for them, even if you give them a bait or describe to them what you're doing. Now, some people take to it quicker than others, but so far it really just hasn't hurt me that much. I've been pretty fortunate in that if I find fish and if I share information with someone, I haven't really been hurt by it.
Drew, what's your plan? Do you work with anybody? You fly solo? How's that go?
I just go solo. I mean, I literally just enjoy that part of it. You know what I mean? I enjoy the puzzle and trying to figure out on my own. And, I've been doing this quite a while. I mean, fished all over the country, done a lot of stuff, hosted a show, and just traveled. So I'm familiar with all over the country. And I think that's part of what's helped me succeed on a national level, because I can roll over to Grand Lake and win on largemouth in the lake and then run up to, Lewis Smith Lake and win with Alabama bass, formerly known as spotted bass, but anyway, and then up to don't get me started on that topic, but up to Champlain and win with smallmouth, and I'm comfortable with every one of them, every species. So I just feel like, and it does, I don't know, man, everybody you have on here, Ryan and Jody and I mean, I feel like the majority of time it's more like what Jody's saying. We're probably going to help more other people out more than they're going to help us. You see what I'm saying? We've been doing this so long. We're familiar with all the fisheries. We kind of know what we're doing and proving that with results. So I just stick to myself because I just enjoy it. And I just feel like that's kind of the game. But Ryan, this is kind of a good transition up to Ryan. You're definitely in the scene more, and you may know if there are cliques and people that are just sharing. And I have no problem if anybody does that because it's legal. If it's legal, I don't have a problem with it. But more than Jody and I probably do on who's doing that or if anybody is doing that. And
I mean, I definitely think that it happens. I think you have people that travel together, or as a matter of fact, when we had the Susky event, Nolan was pretty forthcoming with, hey, like he and his brother went 1 and 2 on the Susky, and he's like, yeah, I put him on the bait, and it was, just some off the wall little bug looking bait, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I put him on the bait, and that's how this happened. But again, it's not against the rules. There's not anything illegal about it. Me personally, I like to fish by myself, pre-fish by myself. Number one, I don't like sharing fish on tournament day. Like, I don't want to get in a situation to where me and my buddy, no matter how much I like you, I don't want to split a 100-inch limit with you. That's not really on my to-do list when it comes down to check time. But number two, the BS. Like, I don't want. There's so much politics in this game now. I would much rather just sit out there by myself and be in my own thoughts. But if I come up, especially on a new angler on the water, and they're having trouble catching fish, and I'm on a good pattern, I did this at Kentucky Lake a couple weeks ago. This guy, he had caught one fish. I'm like, hey, take this bait, go to that point. There's a school sitting right there. Go catch as many 15s as you want to. Like, right. I don't want us to lose that part of our sport, because I think that is something that's very unique. It's not super cutthroat for the most part. Most of us all travel, together to all these tournaments. While it might be a dysfunctional family, it's a big family, and you want to help each other out as much as you can. So I don't want us to lose that in kayak fishing.
Plus in kayak fishing, I mean, there's some of that camaraderie is born out of watching each other's back, because kayaks are a little more dangerous than the big boats sometimes. I mean, if somebody capsizes or gets hung up somewhere or can't get back to their launch or something like that, we all kind of watch out for those other anglers, and it's kind of built a little bit of a little closer family there. It's just one of the unique things about kayak fishing. You just got to watch out for each other.
Man, that's great. I've heard that from the kayak group. It just is a bigger it's more social. It's a little bit more open than we see. When I fell in on the Chesapeake, nobody came to my rescue.
It's like good.
Yeah, they were like, good. Let's fish in the boat for that guy.
Right.
Yeah, but
I think we were on Pickwick when that happened because somebody sent me the clip and they're like, "You're not going to believe this."
Beautiful. Dude, I got a goose attack, video that went viral. You guys may have seen it where, I got knocked out of the water with a kayak. So you and I, man, between our viral videos, I'm telling you, man, we next Jody and Ryan, you guys got to get with it, man. You got to make something happen with that bass squatch over there. Something.
They got to step it up, don't they? We got this thing under control. Well, we sent out a request. We got tons of feedback. We wanted to see some pics from our Bass U family that are kayak guys. People love it. I know we've got a lot of people on IM and on social. Justin, what do you got?
Yeah, so William wants to know, do you guys use the same rods on a boat than on your kayak, or are you using like shorter handled rods? Like I know Cassia makes a kayak series.
The CK series, yeah.
What do you, Drew and Ryan, what do you guys use? Or Jody, do you use that kayak series rod?
Oh, absolutely. I use the kayak series rods in certain rods. Now there's sometimes when if I'm fishing heavy lily pads or something like that, and I need that extra tucked up over my arm and yank them things out of there, I'll use a different casting rod, a little bit longer, heavier, or whatever. But the kayak series is that one thing they have is, and I was a part of this, is the chattergrass rod, and that rod is probably one of the most unique rods that they've allowed us to collaborate on. That rod is just it's a different beast when you're fishing heavy grass with the chatterbait. And so, and it's part of the kayak series, and it's not available in the Icon or the John Cruise. But and the worm and jig rods, which are weighted just like our regular boat rods are, all that is it's a situation you're in a lot of times with what rod you're using. But half of my rods are the kayak series, and the other half are regular length and weighted rods.
All right, let's go to you, Ryan. Do you have custom stuff? What are you using?
Nope. I use the same old. I mean, I like the leverage. I like the leverage of the longer handles. So I use the same rods in my kayak as I do my bass boat, and I'll just switch back and forth and hopefully not forget some in the boat.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same rods for me, but I'm just always switching based on the fishery, based on the length of casts I'm going to be making. And because, again, I'm going to tight places sometimes. So usually most of the rods on my kayak will be the same length, unless you have a specialty rod, like let's say for, punching or something like that, real specialty technique. Because, again, I'm throwing baits that can be used on the exact same rod. You can throw a spinnerbait on the same rod you throw a chatterbait and a swim bait, stuff like that. But generally I will have either it's all going to be, most of them will be 6'7", like 3 or 4 little 6'7" for a tight little small creek where you got branches everywhere and it's hard to make casts, or it'll be 7'1", gives me pretty good accuracy, but a little bit more distance. Or I'll be in a bigger, wider situation like the Susquehanna. It might be 7'3" or even 7'6", just launching, a Chapo across, way across the river in that clear water, needing that long cast. Because I can either cast really far to hit that rock or that log I want to hit and cover all that water, or take the time to paddle or motor over there to get closer to it, and that's taking up time. You see what I'm saying? So the longer rod in those situations is advantageous. But then, of course, you got all your specialty stuff that you might have to bring a 7.4 heavy for frogging or whatever. But it's the same rod, but it just adjusts by location.
I think it's an interesting strategy. I know GDP was talking about, he's using the same rods he uses in bass fishing, but he adjusts the power depending on the technique so that he can apply the pressure that he needs to when he's in the kayak. He can downgrade the power a little bit sometimes when he's in his bass boat.
Right.
So that's the adjustment.
It's different. You have to think about it in that respect, because when you're fighting a fish in a kayak, you're pulling yourself to the fish just as much as you are the fish to you. In a bass boat, it's all one-sided, right? So you have to keep that in mind, and your leverage point. If you're seated in a kayak, your leverage point is completely different on what you have on that fish.
Yeah. So if I'm fishing like the Susquehanna that Drew mentioned earlier there, I like a longer rod because I'm usually fishing upstream with the current running into me. Like Ryan said, you know, you've got motion both ways there. You got a bait coming toward you. You got your boat going toward the bait, and if it's got a longer sweep, then you're going to take up that slack a lot quicker. You know, and I use really low geared reels to try to take up that. You know, I mean, in a kayak, you got to take all those variables into consideration.
Yeah. You know what else helps?
What's
Straight
that?
braid. No stretch.
Exactly.
Going back to Cortland. There you go. That's the reason it's one of the reasons I use the straight braid too.
Yep.
But you can't crow hop back and keep walking back on the deck of your bass boat like like Ike or like Chris Lane. Think about your epic hook setters. You know what I mean? Like you just don't have that, so you got to eliminate all that. And like you said, like GDP said, you almost want to go up a power. You know what I mean? Like find a medium heavy that feels more like a heavy than it does a medium. If you're gonna, find a rod that kind of has that feel. I wouldn't say go to a heavy per se, throwing a chatterbait or something, but you definitely want to be on the side of heavier than medium for these things.
Yeah, it makes sense. That boat moving toward the fish, especially a smallmouth. Oh my gosh, you've got to be prepared for that situation. It could go bad.
Yeah, if you're throwing a chatterbait, I mean they tend to hit it and run towards you anyway.
Yeah,
right. Especially if you're in a river situation. So there's a lot to make up there. So I mean, a lot of it has to do with angles. Like I'll try to, if I'm in a good area and I've got current and all that, I'll try to get myself in an angle to where I know that I can take some of those variables out also. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it.
Guys, if you're watching and you're a kayak angler, get involved with bashu.tv. Get subscribed. We've got a great deal going on right now. bashu.tv/kayak. That's going to put you on our kayak landing page. And that you're going to get an annual subscriber gets a custom Bass University kayak hat. We've got a Z-Man chatterbait in that lure pack, a Rapala, DT16 VMC, a big bite bait. We've got a great tackle pack for you guys included with that custom kayak Bass University hat. So guys, get over there and get signed up. By the way, we launched this week with these three guys. We have a lot more content from these three, as well as GDP. Ike's going to be on there, and all the other great kayak professional anglers out there. It's going to be weekly releases at bashu.tv. So get involved, go check it out. And Jocelyn, we got some people over in the IM board.
Well, this is kind of like a loaded question. Sorry. But we have some subscribers that are young. We have Daniel, who's 14, and he encourages like young youth to get into tournament fishing. But one of the main questions that I've been seeing is, what is the necessities that you need for kayak fishing? For a young angler, get involved with kayak. What would be the top things to keep in your kayak to start?
Let's go around the horn. We're starting at you, Ryan, because you're at the top of our page.
I think, you don't have to have the fanciest, most expensive kayak. You don't have to have a Hobie or an Old Town or even a pedal drive. I highly recommend get on Craigslist, find a good, reputable brand, get a good paddle that's going to make your day a lot more comfortable. A PFD, you definitely want to have a PFD, and you can have just a couple small Plano boxes, some soft plastics, and 2 rods, and go have, a great time on the water.
Yep. That's great. Get yourself out there, get on the water. That's a very affordable, reasonable way to go about it. We see that in the high school and the college programs. Kids graduate from those, and man, they can jump right. They can get on the water this way, where it may be several years away from being able to, get into a bass boat. And it's interesting and a lot of fun. What do you think, Drew? What's your top picks for a guy just getting started?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan covered a lot of the good ones there. I mean, obviously PFD in our sport, you have to have them on when you're fishing a tournament, and it's, we always encourage people to have it on anyway. So I would definitely reiterate that point. Because safety is, first and foremost. Pete, you can even fall out on a bass boat. I mean, it can happen anywhere. So, rivers and creeks and places I fish, that's super critical. I've got a Stolquist PFD with lots of pockets on it. I'll keep a knife in there, in case something happens. You never know when you might need to get that to get yourself out of a bad situation. So, and it keeps other things on there, like your phone for tournaments and stuff like that. So a good PFD with some pockets is good. But moving on to something else, I would just say, like, keep it simple if you're first getting started too, especially these younger folks who are asking this question. Don't worry about carrying, you see a lot of these kayak pros carrying 10 and 15 rods. I mean, man, I love to go out there with 2 and 3 rods. I mean, I know even bass boat guys want to have just 2 rods on their deck because that means they are dialed. They got it figured out, right? So keep it use the kayak for what it's best at. And what it's best at, the biggest differentiator between it and a bass boat really is those little ponds and small lakes and backwaters and rivers and creeks. So start there. Because you're going to get a lot more feedback, a lot more bites, a lot more feedback, and learn the kayak and whatnot. So I would just recommend keeping it simple with less is more. And that's where the Z-Man Elastic plastic comes in handy for me. I know we're all Z-Man guys, so it's kind of perfect here, but you don't have to carry as much plastic. So I have something called a Yak Attack Black Pack. It's a little crate that's behind me. Works really good for carrying your boxes and your Z-Man plastics. And you just load that one crate in your tank well behind your seat there and your gears in there. And you just have to take less when that Z-Man Elastic plastic lasts all day long. So get you just a couple bags of the right stuff, and don't feel like you got to learn all the tips, all the tactics you see the pros using. They are we don't have enough time on the water like they do to learn every one of those and know when to apply them and use them. And in my theory, the way I teach people is you just need a bait that can hit the surface, of the water column, a bait that kind of gets mid-range, and one that'll get to the bottom. And we'd be crazy and fooling ourselves. Sometimes we almost overcomplicate this stuff. It's like the baits are so good these days. Not many companies are making a bait that's just so bad that the fish are going to ignore it. As long as you're hooking it right, the presentation is correct, then you get it down there. So just try to keep it simple to begin with. That's what I would say to that young person.
Great advice. Top, middle, and bottom. What a great piece of advice for a new person. How about you, Jody?
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers it, most of it. The only thing I might add is, especially if you're fishing in windy conditions, I mean, kayaks are notorious for being blown around in the wind. So you might want to come up with a simple anchor system. It can just be a rope with a dumbbell flopped over the side. You got to be careful if you're anchoring in current. I don't recommend anybody anchoring in any kind of heavy current, but yeah, just some kind of anchor system. They make a river stick, that you can go down through the scupper of your hole, that you can just, some way to stabilize your boat and keep it in one area sometimes is good if you're in windy conditions. Other than that, just take something to keep you hydrated and a small first aid kit, something that you get hooks in your fingers or whatever, something like that. But other than that, it's just, like I said, the fewest rods, if you're a beginner, I mean, 2 rods, 3 rods, that, or if you're okay with just tying, they're not hitting on the bottom, I'll just take 1 rod.
Yeah. What about a flag?
Yeah, and a flag.
Busy carbon is what it's called from Yak Attack safety flag.
On lakes or something like that, Yak Attack makes the busy carbon flags. They're really, really, really. And then if you're fishing pre-daylight, you're going to need a 360 light in most instances, and that's also part of the busy carbon flag. But other than that, you just keep it simple. Go light. The places you can go in these kayaks are amazing. I mean, if you get in these small creeks and stuff like that, you just don't need a whole lot. I would recommend that you have some sort of staging for your rods if you're going to take more than one. Maybe a Yak Attack Omni Pro rod holder or something to keep your rod tips down out of the trees. If you're in those situations that you got a lot of overhanging brush or trees, that can be a safety issue too. I've been in situations where I've seen people get the rods tangled in limbs and it's actually capsized them. So if you're in those situations, you just keep your rod tips low until you learn the waters and learn what you're doing out there, know where to go with your rods sticking up. But most of the time on the lake, I'll leave mine sticking up, but almost always on rivers and streams, you want everything inside the boat. Because anything that grabs and you're in current, it's gonna upset the balance of your boat.
What do you do with the bass squatch when you're in those river situations, Jody? He's got that's a big compartment.
I try not to make him mad.
Sunglasses too, by the way. I was going to mention that one.
Yeah,
sunglasses. Put some sunglasses on that bass squatch. You need some polarized, some good polarized.
I know, right?
Work with Hobie eyewear. I use Smiths, but either one of those, just find a good pair of sunglasses if you're going to fish this shallow water stuff. Man, I don't know how people fish without a good pair of polarized sunglasses if they're a shallow water angler specifically, and you're really seeing not just fish, but depth changes or structure that's under the water that other anglers may not be able to see. So.
And a tow rope. I mean, something, a nice piece of rope that you can put on the front of your kayak and wrap it around your waist and get out shallow and wade, get in the water if you want to. But it also works if you're pulling up to a bank and you want to tie off to something. Always keep that piece of good rope with you, because it can come in handy for other things.
And I'm going to send it to Jocelyn for another IM question. But yeah, but I want to ask this because you brought up are you tethered to the kayak? Is that something that's part of safety for you guys?
If we're in, no, I mean, if we're in the rivers or something like that and they allow weight fishing in the tournament, I'll tether myself and drag the kayak. But other than that, no, we're not tethered to the kayak at all.
I got you. I'm just curious about getting this separated from your kayak in a current situation could be kind of a precarious scenario.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen, but a lot of the river tournaments, that'll be written into the rules as you have to be tethered to your kayak.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be waiting, but you don't want to be sitting fishing in your kayak tethered to it. Really, that's kind of dangerous, actually, because if you fall out and you are in swift current and your boat gets sucked one way and it's trying to pull you, you got to. Yeah. So you don't want to tether unless you're shallow, low water and waiting.
Yep, I get that. And you're wearing your PFD, so you've thought through this process. Jocelyn, what do you got?
We had some people saying like keep the phone on a leash and make sure you keep your phone safe, because I guess with kayak tournaments you have to take pictures of your fish on a measuring board. What are some recommendations you have to keep your phone in your kayak?
Huge. It's a huge one there. I mean, I use a tether. I use one called it's Quad Lock is the case I have, Quad Lock, and you can move that case to different things, but they have a little tether and a ring that clips in the back of my phone. I put it in my pocket of my life jacket, and if I drop it, it could, it's not going to fall in the water, so it's safe. But other people may have other life jackets for their phones or whatever. But
Rogue Fishing makes one that you can use to tether your phone with, and a good waterproof case. There's several of those out there, but and try not to just use a tether. I like to use the what do they call them? They're like a phone cord. Those, because you can reach around. If I keep my phone down by my side in a pocket here, then I can reach around and then it just goes back and it doesn't get in the way of other things. But tether is, and the shorter you can use it, the better, because if you drop it and it still goes in the water, then it's
Pete, you should
I keep mine in the dry hatch of the Hobie. I'll just take it out, take the picture, put it right back in the center hatch. I don't keep my phone out on the deck because I feel like even with a tether, I'm going to do something clumsy and that'll be it.
I definitely need to be tethered, anchored somehow.
A life jacket and a tether. You're like a harness. Got to.
Jocelyn says I need to wear swimmies, on each arm.
Now I'm thinking you need a waterproof Pete case, just a full waterproof.
Let me the phone, the measuring and the picture taking. Everybody that I've talked to has an epic fail, like a 5-pounder slipped out of my grip. Man, tell me yours. Let's start with you, Jody. Give me your epic fail where you maybe would have won the tournament.
I had my epic fail wasn't actually during the measuring. It was I was using a unproven fish grip that we have fish grips that hold the fish and we drop them over the side and they kind of calm down before you measure them. If you leave them in the water, you get all your stuff ready, then you pull the fish out and you measure it. And I was using a new one that I'd never tried before, and it was my personal best. And I was in a local tournament. Oh my God! It was like an 8-pound West Virginia Northern Strain largemouth, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I dropped it over the side, and then when I went to pick him up, he was just like,
"Oh my God!"
No. So that was one of my worst ones.
That was Basquatch, dude. You didn't know Basquatch?
That's right. It was Basquatch.
The little devil squirrel on his shoulders, like telling him, like, break that fish away.
What's yours, Drew?
Oh man, I've never really, fortunately never during a tournament had anything like that happen. I think one flopped off the board real quick. It was like not going to help or anything. I didn't think it was going to help. So my thing, so I designed a boat, the Crescent Kayak Shoaly, and I built this recess for the measuring board into the kayak right in front of where you sit. So it's cool because there's no fumbling around. There's no time needed. I just get the fish, take it off unhook it and put it on the board. And then my phone's right here in my pocket, my life jacket, and just take the photo and boom, done, like fast, quick, and easy. So I've fortunately never have lost one like that, but I know a lot of people have. And it's, I don't know, it's part of the game, but it happens once and you kind of understand how to measure them. I'll give you a real good tip here. This is bass use, so we're going to spill the juice. When you get a fish in the boat, keep them you can put your legs over it, put them underneath where your legs are or something. And I paddle to the bank if I'm close to the bank. If you're obviously in the open water, you can't do this. But I go to the bank and make the left side of your kayak up against the bank. So you're parallel with the bank and shove with your paddle, shove the left side of your kayak just up on the bank a little bit, and then sit back down with your, lift up with your butt cheek a little bit and then sit back down so it holds there on the bank. And here's what's going to happen. The fish are always going to flop to the left out of your boat because their heads have to face to the left. And that's the direction they're going to go because their tail's on their side. They're going left, which is why some people put a net there for open water or something like that on the side, like a sidewall net. If they flop, they're going that way and they go into the net. But if you can, go to the bank. That way it never happens. And take a safety first with your hand on the fish, push them down real hard, and don't worry about what the length is for that first photo. Just get a documentation of that fish. And then maybe after that first photo, you can work the tail a little bit and see if you can get it to show that it's a little bit longer. So those are my tips.
Good tips. Ryan, have you dunked one?
I haven't dunked one, but when you're doing catch photo release, there's a lot of other variables that come with that. And this last tournament on Kentucky Lake, I was bit by a new one. I had fished day one, had a pretty decent limit. I was in the top 10 going into day two. I had my timed out game plan in my head. So I go through and catch a pretty good limit day two. I was in like sixth, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to move and roll the dice and go for a big fish spot. Well, one of those fish that I caught at my A spot was the same 17 some odd inch fish that I caught on day one. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't analyze the fish on the water, but that's another thing you have to look out for is catching the same fish twice because it's an automatic DQ of that fish. So you can't catch the same fish two times in a row. So my fish didn't get away, but it got away from my stringer and cost me a check.
Wow.
So well, it's interesting because Major League Fishing, when they were doing every fish counts, they even still, I think they allow for you to catch the same fish over and over if you're able. But
and I didn't think about it. Like in day one, like I completely understand if you've submitted the same fish 2 or 3 times. Day two, it didn't register to me at all. Until I got that text message, and I was like, all right, well,
that's
well, just put that in the memory bank.
I've got another tip for you. This works really well for me. If you got an unruly fish, we all know how unruly smallmouth are, and hardly anything works on them. But a lot of times, if you have a really unruly fish, if you tilt your board, and they'll calm down. Something about the gravity pushing against them, their nose. I don't know what it is, but they will calm down a lot of times long enough for you to take a picture of them if you tilt the end of your board. So if you have a really unruly one, that seems to work really well.
If you yell at them too, if you yell a lot, that's
that
usually helps.
Is that what Ike does? Is that how he gets to calm down? He just screams. Yes! Yes! Never give up. They just calm down.
Yeah, I don't believe hollering at them works. I don't think that's the thing. But I do love that tip because we got our big problem. Well, famously, Jim Bitter in the Classic, he thought he had a keeper. The writer in his boat said, "You better measure that fish." So he measured it on the deck of his boat. It was 12 inches. It flipped out of his hand, went right back into the James River, and he lost the Classic. He finished second, and that would have won it for him. But I kick
that writer in the head.
The point, like we when you get a small fish and you're in a hurry, you're on, and we're trying to measure them, man, they just won't relax. They won't.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that tilting of the board.
Try to tilt it.
Yeah, I've never used that to pacify
I gotta
a
figure
crazy
something out
fish.
for when I'm putting them on the beam on the hanger.
Yeah,
dude. Hey, I mean, like you'll get them on the hanger and they're just going. Ah! It's impossible to get them to chill out.
Yeah, so I did a video on Candlewood one time, and during the spawn, when smallmouth are spawning, they will literally fight and thrash until they kill themselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was on Candlewood, and I had one of those fish. She was like a 19 or 20 inch smallmouth, and it came off the nest, and it just would not calm down. It just would not do it. And I had it out of the water for a couple minutes, and finally what I did was I said, okay, and I just dropped it back over the side, and I just let it sit there. I just let it sit there for, until it quit thrashing. And sometimes if you put them back in the water, they'll calm down a little bit. But those fish, they're just trying to get back to that nest. And you got to be real careful with them when they're in that situation. Because, I mean, that fish, if I would have left it in my boat and let it flop around, it would have killed itself. It just wouldn't stop. And so you got to think of the mortality of the fish too. So, drop it back over the side, let it calm down a little bit, pull it back up and try to get your measurement after a second. I know it takes a little bit of time and you're in that fizz all the time trying to get that next cast in, but sometimes you got to think about the fish too. So, yeah,
Jody, after you released your personal best, that 8-pounder, I'm terrified just listening to you drop a fish back in. I'm going to get padlocks and all kinds of.
Well, that was my fault because I should have used what I was used to using, the Rapala fish grips. They're great. I've never had one fail. They got a little string on the back of them that you can, it's a little pull tab, and it will cinch the handles down so that fish can't get off of there. And they work awesome. Rapala makes probably one of the best ones I've used. And I just, for whatever reason, I used something different that day to try it out. It was the wrong day to do that, the wrong fish to do it with. But it was a northern strain. I've since beat that. I got retribution on it, but northern strains, you just don't catch 8-pound northern strains that often.
Now, what is your personal best?
11.4.
Whoa! Where'd that come from?
I come out of Eagle Mountain Lake and right outside of Fort Worth.
Texas bass.
Texas, awesome. Man. Before I've caught 11.2 out of a lake in Florida, and I got a 10.8 out of there also out of another lake down there. But man, Texas, their fisheries are they're amazing. Now, you're going to Possum Kingdom, dude. I know, Matt Ball was down there a couple of years ago throwing a crankbait, and he said he had one he knows it was a teener. It was 13, 14 pounds. He said it was the biggest fish he ever saw, and of course, Matt, anything that can go wrong will go wrong with Matt, but he had some.
Yeah, there's some big ones for sure.
I mean, Pendergraft won Possum Kingdom with 34, 35 pounds last time we were down there. I mean, just wrecked them, right in front of the boat ramp.
but they're fit, and Florida's catching on. I mean, they're starting to do a lot more with their fisheries. But man, the way Texas manages their fisheries is just amazing, and it's paying off for them.
Yep. Share lunker
program.
Yeah. It's amazing what they do down there. I've been keep getting them these feeds coming through where these guys are releasing their share lunkers because they donate them and they spawn these fish, and then they give them back so they can release them, and they have release boats, and they go back and release these fish where they were caught, and it's pretty awesome to see how healthy they are when they're getting released. Because man, they're like going into a 5-star hotel. These share lunkers. Yep, they're well fed. They're incredibly healthy, and when they're released, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. What's your Ryan and Drew? What's your personal best from a kayak?
Like 8.7 on largemouth. I don't catch big largemouth, but that's 7-pound smallmouth behind me is my personal best. That's old Tennessee River sweetheart there.
Yeah, baby, that's a nice one.
That's a giant smallie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've only weight. I don't really know. I know I've caught 3. Well, can't ever say I know, but 3 I would say were over 10, but they were river fish, river largemouth. There's 3 of them that were that big. But the length I know the 25 and like a quarter is my longest. So 25 and a quarter.
That's a giant fish.
Oh yeah, real big. Smallmouth, I do know my weight's 5'8", but it's a river smallmouth, so that's a good one, and for the southeast. So not getting those big, giant footballs up in the Great Lakes and places like that.
Well, that's awesome, guys. Man, it's been a blast. We're going to do this again, and I want to thank all 3 of you for being part of the program at Bash U. It's awesome. You guys are super talented and gifted and excellent teachers. And we appreciate that. And that's all available right now over at bashu.tv/kayak. Get yourself subscribed and check it out. And we've got a lot of great stuff coming over in that world, guys. And I'm going to be talking to you a little bit later on tonight, Ryan.
That's correct. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. So tune into the podcast. People want to listen. How can they listen tonight?
Kayak Bass Nation. It's available on Kayak Bass Nation YouTube, Facebook. We stream to Twitter and Twitch now, and then it's available on all audio streaming platforms as well as of tomorrow.
Excellent. I can't wait. I get to be the guest, which is a nice
We're gonna have fun with that one.
That.
Don't you worry.
I can already see the endless loops of me falling in the water.
That's queued up. That's queued up already. Don't worry.
I love it. Well, hey guys, thanks so much. Best of luck the rest of the season, and we look forward to having you guys back on the show sometime real soon.
Thanks, man. We appreciate you.
The Kayak Boys. I think that should be this trio, right? I think we just coined their name, the Kayak Boys. That was really cool. It's a fascinating, part of the sport that's just growing and expanding. So many people love to enjoy the sport that way, and we appreciate you guys being part of Bash University. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be giving away some really cool stuff, and we'll be doing that right after this.
What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bash University, and I am excited to welcome in Waterwood Custom Baits to the Bash U family. These are custom handmade baits in the South Rainforest of Brazil. They're made of Marupa pedra wood. It's extremely dense, it's resistant, but it's also really buoyant. They're made of quality components with a 100% guarantee. They're made for tournament anglers to get it done when the money is on the line. Guys, that was like my second cast with this bait. That's a Waterwood custom bait. These things are handmade in the rainforest south of Brazil. And I mean, as you can see right here, it's a fish catching bait. It's got the front hook. That means they wanted it. This bait's, it's running really true. It throws really well. Guys, check them out at waterwoodcustombaits.com.
The leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick, every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Welcome back to Bass U Live, the Kayak Boys edition. That was a lot of fun, man. Those guys, it seems like a really social way to compete, you know, which I really like. I've heard that before. A lot of the campgrounds get overwhelmed, and these guys, they know how to have fun, which is cool. And I really enjoyed having them here. Check it out at bassu.tv. If this is your last chance, we've got a social like and share on Facebook. If you're watching over there, like it and share it. We're going to be giving away a cool prize, including some Waterwood crankbaits, and we have a grand prize that
sure do. We have the Hobie.
we're giving away the Hobies.
They're called, I think they're called the Monarch Float one. So I believe they're the ones that float when you lose them, like you do. And we also have a red, white, and BU hat that will go along with those.
All right, that's awesome. And if you're a kayak guy, want to try Bass U TV, now's the time. It's the launch offer. We've got a great annual discount going on. It's 33% off an annual price, and we give you a custom Bass U kayak hat and a Rapala lure, a Z-Man chatterbait, VMC, Tokyo rig, and a Big Bite baits pack along. It's a great tackle pack. But get over there and watch the content that's available right now in our kayak division of Bass University, and weekly releases coming. And we have a cool trivia question, Rich.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, we're going to do a little audible on that, Pete.
Okay.
Because we don't want to get any warrants put out on anybody. So the trivia question we're going to go with is what is Jody Queen's personal best bass that he's caught out of a kayak, and what lake did it come out of? Jody Queen's personal best, and what lake did it come out of?
Wow, that happened fast. He threw around a lot of numbers. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, we were going to do something about Ryan's speeding ticket, but I guess I guess he thought better of that. I think he should go fight it. You never know. The judge might be a fisherman, you know?
Dude.
Hand him a Bass U subscription. He'll get
Dan
it.
Allen.
Yeah.
Dan Allen is insane.
Come on. He got it already?
Already. Insane.
How would he know that? Dan, you're a savant. Have you
really
played
pays
Jeopardy?
attention. My gosh.
That is amazing. We have
There's nobody else even close.
All right.
Not even any coming in.
We got to get Dan on the show.
Yeah, we really did.
Dan
you're coming on the
ultimate
show.
subscriber.
Yes. We want to has he bugged the office?
He might have.
Is that possible?
He has to.
Dan?
He said,
bug
I
my
take
phone,
notes.
Are you with the CIA? What do you got going on over there? Yeah, Mr. Allen. That's awesome.
So funny.
That's incredible. We gotta I don't know how we're gonna trick this man. We gotta figure it out.
Well, don't worry. I already have your address. I'll just send it with your other one.
Man, what a great prize.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we're gonna be back next week with another episode of Bass U. What's our agenda for next week?
Next week, we're hoping to be talking to the winner from the Sabine. And then the following week, we're going to be talking to Stephen Browning.
The
versatility
Puma
of chatterbait fishing. And
And if you guys are at the Sabine, go visit Rich and Justin. They'll be there.
We'll be down there. Check the weather this morning. It's going to be 90 and 100% humidity every day.
Yes.
Jocelyn, if we can work out some kind of air conditioning unit to be installed in my booth, that would be great.
Welcome. Welcome to South Texas. If you're
Right.
if you're a Bass U subscriber, make sure and you're coming to the Elite event, make sure you stop by and see the boys. We got something for you. And it's it's great time to sign up for
Tell
Bass
you
U
one
too.
thing, it's going to be a bad weekend to be a crawfish. If I'm down there. So.
I already saw. I think a few anglers were already eating some crawfish.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I've seen that.
That's the scouting, doing map study,
Oh, my.
researching where my next crawfish.
You're gonna have to do a tutorial on how to properly eat a crawfish.
He's gonna have to teach me.
We need that social post, Justin. So make sure you capture that.
Justin, do you like crawfish too?
Yeah, I think I will. I haven't really had them like how Rich did.
Like
but-
Rich immerses
Yeah,
himself
yeah.
in the cross. And I like our new chatterbait design, the double bladed Riz jackhammer.
Yeah.
That's gonna we
I
gotta
put
come
the
out with that.
chatterbait down this weekend, Pete. I only threw it for about 30 minutes.
I dispute
don't
that
believe
statement.
that.
I don't think that's.
I got
I
the
don't.
footage.
I
I'll
don't.
show you guys the footage.
I want to review the footage because I don't think that's
threw it-
possible.
I threw it for 30 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
When there was just a little bit of a breeze and still low light, and then slicked off, man. I knew you got to put it down, dude. Got to put it down.
Justin, I do
Pick
have
up the old Dean's rig.
a piece of advice for you when you're in Texas. Don't let Rich have pickled eggs.
Oh my gosh.
No pickled eggs for Riz.
They were actually Cajun pickled quail eggs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw him go in. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, nobody eats that stuff. Well,
hey, you only live once.
Yes.
I tried.
Yeah. Well, Riz, congratulations on your win. Well
thank
done.
you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks for watching. We got so much coming out on Bass University TV all the time. We have our classroom seminar release every Wednesday. On water is Wednesday. Classroom is on Thursday. We have a kayak release on Fridays now. And of course, we have our remasters, which we take some of the best
those
anglers on the
remasters.
planet. And these are tried and true lessons that you definitely want to check out. And those are always earlier in the week. So that's all happening at Bass U TV. And we got a lot more coming for you guys. And we'll see you guys with the winner of Sabine.
I think we got a like
Next
and
week.
share winner too, right?
Oh, we forgot
yes,
that.
we do. Our like and share winner today is William Shelby. Congratulations, William.
Thank you for sharing, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week here at Bass U Live.